Kevin, a black man with a sturdy build and a gentle smile, was driving along a deserted road. It was a peaceful afternoon. The sky was clear without a cloud in sight. And the wind rustled gently through the trees lining the road. Kevin felt at ease. The soft music from his old radio adding to the calm atmosphere inside the car. He thought it would just be another ordinary day until he saw a car pulled over on the side of the road, with a woman struggling with a flat tire. The woman was Linda. A white woman. Dressed elegantly. Exuding an air of sophistication. But now facing trouble in the middle of nowhere. She wore a light blue dress. Her golden hair cascading over her shoulders. Her face showed clear signs of worry. Her green eyes full of confusion as she tried to figure out what to do. Kevin stopped his car. Got out. And approached her. With Linda's slight hesitation. Kevin quickly offered his help. Linda seemed anxious. Her green eyes looking at Kevin with suspicion. But she eventually smiled gratefully and agreed. "Thank you so much. I really don't know what I would have done without you," Linda said. Her voice trembling. Kevin just smiled. Shaking his head. "It's no problem. It's a small thing. Anyone in this situation would need help." He quickly opened Linda's trunk. Took out the spare tire and tools. And began to change the tire. Sweat dotted his forehead as he bent over to work. His large hands firmly gripping the wrench. Tightening each bolt securely. Linda stood by. Watching the dedication and care of this stranger. And felt a deep sense of gratitude well up in her heart. She tried to make conversation to ease the tension. "Do you live around here?" Linda asked. Trying to start a conversation. Kevin looked up and smiled. "No. I live on the other side of the city. I'm on my way home after a long day at work. And yet you're still willing to help me. That's amazing. I'm very grateful." Kevin just smiled and continued his work. After about 20 minutes. The new tire was in place. And Linda couldn't stop thanking Kevin. She felt like she had found a true friend in the middle of nowhere. "I really don't know how to repay your kindness," Linda said. Her eyes brightening. Kevin smiled. "As long as you're safe. That's good enough. This road is quite deserted. It's best not to stay here long." Linda, still appreciative, took a business card out of her purse and handed it to Kevin. "If you need anything, just call me. I'd be happy to help you in any way I can." Kevin took the card. Seeing Linda's name and phone number. But didn't think much of it. He simply saw it as a polite gesture. He said goodbye to Linda. Got in his car. And continued on his way. Unaware that this simple act of kindness would lead to an unexpected chain of events. The next morning. While Kevin was sipping coffee in his small house. A knock echoed at the door. He was surprised to see a sleek black SUV outside. With two men in black suits stepping out. They looked serious and authoritative. Kevin felt a bit uneasy. But he opened the door and stepped out to greet them. One of the men spoke, "Hello. Are you Kevin? We are from Miss Linda's family. Her family is very grateful to you for helping her yesterday and would like to offer you a reward." Kevin was taken aback. He hadn't thought that changing a tire could lead to such gratitude from a family. The two men invited Kevin into their car. And after a moment of hesitation, he agreed. The SUV rolled smoothly down the road, taking him to a luxurious mansion on the outskirts of the city. On the way, Kevin couldn't help but marvel at the rows of ancient trees and the grand mansions lining the road. A sight completely different from the humble neighborhood where he lived. There, he met Linda and her parents, people whose wealth and power were immediately apparent. Mr. Parker, Linda's father, was a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance. His graying hair neatly groomed. Mrs. Parker, Linda's mother, wore an elegant dress. Her eyes gentle but full of determination. Linda smiled when she saw Kevin. She approached and shook his hand. Kevin, I told my parents about how you helped me. They really wanted to meet you and thank you. Linda's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, invited Kevin into the living room, where he was treated as an honored guest. The living room was lavishly decorated with art pieces hanging on the walls, luxurious leather armchairs, and a collection of rare books displayed in a glass cabinet. They talked to him, thanking him for his kindness and bravery. Then, Mr. Parker placed a check in front of Kevin, with an amount so large that Kevin couldn't believe his eyes. "This is a small reward for your kindness," Mr. Parker said sincerely. Kevin felt overwhelmed. He hadn't expected this. And he wasn't sure if he should accept such a large sum of money. He thought about his community, where so many people still faced difficulties and lacked basic necessities. He remembered his neighborhood. The children playing on pothole-filled streets. The families struggling to make ends meet every day. After some contemplation and discussion with the Parkers, Kevin decided to accept the reward. But he didn't keep it for himself. Instead, he proposed using the money to build facilities for the community, to help those in need. The Parker family was touched by Kevin's selflessness, and they decided to partner with him in this project. They established a charity fund called Hope, aimed at improving the lives of the people in Kevin's community. This charity not only focused on improving infrastructure but also supported education for children, provided scholarships for students in difficult circumstances, and organized safe recreational activities for kids. The story of Kevin and Linda spread quickly, becoming a symbol of kindness and humanity across different races and social classes. The media started paying attention to their story. A local TV station came to interview Kevin and Linda, sharing their story on air. Kevin initially felt shy in front of the camera, but he realized that sharing the story could inspire many others. In the following weeks, Kevin and the Parker family began working with charity organizations and local authorities to implement projects. They built a playground for children in Kevin's neighborhood, which used to be an empty lot filled with garbage. They also renovated an old building to turn it into a community center where people could come to learn, exchange ideas, and have fun. The residents of the neighborhood were moved by what Kevin and the Parkers had done, and they began to come together, joining hands to build a better community. Kevin not only changed his own life but also brought hope and positive change to the entire community. He became a natural leader, someone people trusted and turned to for help. Linda also frequently visited the neighborhood, joining Kevin in charitable activities and connecting with the residents. The friendship between Kevin and Linda grew stronger, not just based on gratitude but on mutual respect and understanding. One day, as they stood in front of the newly inaugurated playground, watching the children laughing and playing, Linda turned to Kevin and said, "Kevin, you know, all of this started because of your kindness. If you hadn't stopped to help me that day, things might have been very different." Kevin looked at Linda, smiling. "We can all make a difference if we're willing. Kindness can start from the smallest acts, but it can spread and change the world." The story of Kevin and Linda wasn't just about kindness but also about unity, sharing, and hope. It showed that no matter our backgrounds, our race, or our social class, we could come together to do great things if we were willing to open our hearts and help one another. In the months that followed, The Hope Fund began to see its first successes. Affordable housing projects were launched. And small but sturdy homes were built for the most disadvantaged families in the community. Kevin felt warmth in his heart every time he passed by these new houses. Hearing the joyful laughter coming from inside. The children who had once lived in difficult conditions now had a safe home to return to after school. One of the biggest projects that the Hope Fund carried out was building a new elementary school. The school was located in the middle of the neighborhood. Designed with modern facilities to provide the best learning environment for children. Kevin, Linda, and the Parker family attended the inauguration ceremony of the school. The children of the neighborhood performed dances and songs to celebrate the event. Seeing the innocent, radiant faces of the children, Kevin and Linda felt that all their efforts had been worthwhile. Linda also decided to open a free language class for both children and adults in the neighborhood. She believed that knowledge and communication skills were the keys to overcoming difficulties and finding new opportunities. Initially, only a few children attended. But gradually, more parents signed up as well. Linda taught not only English but also soft skills, helping everyone gain confidence in their lives. Kevin, in addition to overseeing the construction projects, also helped open a vocational training course for the young people in the neighborhood. He invited old friends, people with experience in various professions, to come and share their knowledge and help those young people looking for opportunities. Kevin understood that giving knowledge and skills to young people was the best way to change the future of the community. One evening, after finishing the vocational training class, Kevin and Linda sat down to talk over a cup of hot tea. Linda looked at Kevin, her eyes filled with gratitude. Kevin, you've done so many amazing things for this community. You've helped not just one person, but an entire generation. Kevin looked at Linda, his voice contemplative. Linda, I think we all have a responsibility to the place we live. What we do isn't just to improve the present, but to create a better future for those who come after us. Linda smiled, placing her hand on Kevin's shoulder. I'm proud to have walked this journey with you. We've created something miraculous from a small act. And that's truly wonderful. In the following years, Kevin and Linda continued to work together. Not only in improving the neighborhood but also in expanding the scope of the Hope Fund to other areas of the city. Their actions inspired many others to join in and contribute. People from neighboring areas also came to learn and brought the model back to their own communities. One afternoon, as Kevin and Linda were sitting on a bench in the playground, watching the children running around, Linda turned to Kevin and said, "Did you ever think that all this would come from just a flat tire?" Kevin laughed heartily, his eyes shining with happiness. Life is truly amazing, isn't it? Sometimes a small act can change an entire life. What matters is whether we're willing to act. Linda nodded, her heart filled with faith and hope. They had proven that with kindness and determination, anyone could make a difference. The story of Kevin and Linda became a symbol of humanity, hope, and the power of unity. It was proof that when people opened their hearts and worked together for a common goal, they could create wonders, transcending all barriers of race, status, or social class.